bringing you inside the USL Championship and League One.
Segmer's got there, Marquinhos! He's been knocking on the door! He knocks it down!
Diving into all the biggest stories and top headlines.
You are ripping and roaring today.
This is USL All Access.
It's almost impossible to recreate that level of magic.
With Mike Watts and Devon Kerr on Sirius XM FC.
Welcome, everyone. It's USL All Access. A very happy Tuesday night, wherever you might be. A lot of excitement in this show, also a lot of intrigue. We're going to chat with the new leadership at Atlético Dallas. They're doing incredible things. Devon had a sit-down that is just going to blow your mind. Dev, I'm sure you're just over the moon for everyone to hear what you and Matt Valentine had to talk about.
It is easily top 5 best interviews we've ever had on this show. His willingness to share information, talk about the process, Mike, was unreal to me. I think that, like I said this to you in private, but my views felt so aligned with his, and that's not a conflict of interest. I mean, in that the passion that you and I carry, and specifically as it relates to me, some of the journey with his son, playing overseas in Germany, so much of it hit my core. It was an emotional interview, and I can't wait to see what this path continues to be for them, considering what we've already seen and the time and knowledge that he's willing to share during the interview. Yeah,
it's excellent, and looking forward for everyone to hear that. There's a ton of loan news. There's a head coach that may or may not be on the way out, and we're going to have plenty on that. Jägermeister Cup quarters occurred. So, Dev, how about we start at the top here and just say, because they're not at the top yet, man, Hartford Athletic, they are on the up and up, man. So here they are playing El Clamico for the third time in like 2 months. Cariaga scores 5 minutes in. They get the second from Kyle Edwards. There's a red card for Aldar Sanchez. And then Owen Prestis, ends up scoring for Hartford, making it 3-0. If you're Rhode Island, you have to be sitting here looking in the mirror going, there's not a lot of time to get this thing turned. And if you're Hartford, you're looking at Rhode Island last year and going, are we a carbon copy of them? Absolutely not. Is it necessarily sustainable for the next, call it 11 games, including a playoff run, up to 14 games? I don't know that either. But here they are within a game of getting to 5th place with the games they have in hand. It is amazing to me, and I'm going to start on the positive side here for Hartford. And I do still believe this is going to be difficult down the stretch for them, considering the amount of Western Conference opponents they have. They have been able to give themselves, I believe it's a 5-point gap above the playoff line right now. Math checks out. Shocking that the team in 9th place is also Rhode Island. So I believe that. But it's amazing to me, Mike, the way that they are able to fluctuate in and out of games and still find precious moments. Tactically, this isn't an overwhelming team. They run and gun, absolutely. I believe there is a midfield dominance within them of connection points that has become much more apparent as the season has gone on, keeping the groups together. The physicality has been much better. The rate of play has been much better. I mean, to be fair, everything has been better because look at where they were and how terrible it was. But the belief, and we're going to talk about this later in the Jaeger recaps, the belief that this Hartford Athletic team has that whether they're under fire and get one chance or what has been more recently, Mike, 10, 15, 20 shots a game, hitting the target 8 times, they're going to win. They're going to find a way to win. And some of it, I want to be very clear, I'm not comparing the teams. I'm comparing sort of the identity and morale of the group. Some of it reminds me of the ability to just find a result of that 2019 Phoenix team. Again, very different, very, very different. But the run that they're on right now, I've seen games where they've been played off the pitch. And I've seen games where they've been the full aggressor and couldn't hit the broadside of the barn. And yet, no matter what, they're finding a way to get a result. There's something to be said for the belief we are going to win no matter what. And that's exactly what Hartford has right now. Hartford 4 wins in their last 5, unbeaten in that span. 1 loss in their last 9. And I don't know that they're done yet either. The window's still open, folks. Now, let's quickly just say Mamadou Dieng's out, right? And if you're Minnesota, I'm not sure there's an MLS team that's cared more for non-homegrown USL talent than Minnesota has. Some of that is a budgetary thing, right? If you're Eric Ramsey and you're trying to make changes on the fly and there's not a ton of money around, Mamadou Dieng is not a terrible shot in the dark to take by any stretch of the imagination. The deal's through 26, 2 option years. What do you make of it?
I would say number one, to your point about Minnesota United, I would make it specific to the tenure of Eric Ramsey, who is very much a believer in the entire system here in this country, closed or not, friendly or not. He has his eyes open to ideas everywhere. That's tactics and that's players. Dieng knocks 23 goals in 57 appearances, 20 in league play over 49, and he was on a heater this year of 9 and 19. He was really starting to pick it up. I think it's interesting that they've only gone 18 months on the contract because they're saying that's great, and they're asking him to prove a bit more here. That's going to make the player feel a little confident, but also uneasy that he's got to get involved. The rumor is that it's the second largest transfer fee for a player from USL to MLS in league history. I believe that this would, in theory, give Minnesota some depth because the departure of Tani Oluwaseyi is not going to see Mamadou Dieng become the number one. Mamadou Dieng will not become the one right away. Kelvin Yeboah is still there. Eric Ramsey is very flexible within his tactics. I believe the spark could light him into being one of the favored strikers. But on the back end of this, we'd be naive to think, and I can tell you that there's movement coming, that Brendan Burke was going to let this fly without replacing what is his most threatening player on the attacking side. They've got a big name coming in, and they've got a player that has already had success within this league. And when they hear it, people are going to go, oh, that makes perfect sense. It's a great bit of business on the way out for Hartford. It's also their first player they've sold directly from the club to USL. And I would say that it's not better business, but just as good business on the player that they're about to bring in to replace him.
Yeah, and if you're Brendan Burke, you're telling every guy, 17-year-old homegrowns that aren't poking through into MLS. They've hit African market really well with Brendan in multiple locations. The Caribbean he's hit really well. You're saying, hey, we can make that move for you the same way Orange County is now selling. We can get you to Europe. Dev, you wrote Worst Kept Secret. It wasn't. Here's the problem. It was a secret for most of us. It wasn't a secret to you, and therefore for you, it is the worst kept secret in the history of the USL Championship. Kyle Vassell going to Colorado.
The only reason I say it's the worst kept secret is
you have been basically saying it for a month.
I know, and I hated not being able to talk about it. Look, there is no secret about my admiration for what they're doing in Colorado Springs. Okay, title or not, that growth has started there. To be fair, Steve Trittschuh had him on the right path. Needed a little bit more influence. The ownership group helps change that. Brendan Burke starts to move the needle a little bit more. And then the supporting cast in the front office and coaching staff that is now Hoagie, Chambo, McCann. That team wasn't struggling for creativity. They weren't struggling for an identity. Making mistakes? Absolutely. Health? 100%. Plain and simple, they needed a 9 because all the ball movements were there. And Kyle Vassell should rip this league to pieces. He should continue to destroy the way that he did at San Diego Loyal. He's powerful. He works into the box hard. He's good in the air, incredible timing. And I think his link-up play is something that's a little bit undervalued because of how much work he's willing to do off the ball. Sometimes he gets himself caught out of position, but they can benefit from that, especially from runners on the front end who are willing to take that extra step. You force him to stay a little bit higher here, you're going to get sustained success. I love the pickup.
All right, elsewhere, handful of moves that maybe aren't flashing nearly as much, but could be quite significant. Carlos Miguel is on the move to New Mexico. He needs a reboot. 50 appearances at Louisville City. His best games were 2 years ago. He's still young, long way to go.
He needs reps and confidence. The best thing to ever happen to that kid was the 22 closing portion of the season for Louisville. It's also the worst thing to happen to him. I think it boosts his head out of the ceiling a little bit, and he needed a reality check. He's got it. I think he also has a really good opportunity to continue developing a guy in Dennis Sanchez, who he's going to make him work with the ball a little bit more. And the tactics change at Louisville didn't help his game, and I believe that this will help continue to develop. I don't necessarily think New Mexico United need more midfielders of this nature. However, it's not going to hurt him. He likes to rotate, and this is going to help their legs down the stretch.
Speaking of New Mexico, Kip Keller on the move, on loan from Minnesota to New Mexico. Dev, he's a pretty familiar sight.
They do need help on the back line. And Kip Keller, this has been about health for him. Struggled coming out of the gate, bounced around a couple of teams. When he ended up with Minnesota this year, his move right now is not about favoritism. He's stuck behind a lot of players that are in form. Morris Duggan, to give you an idea, like that guy was irreplaceable at the beginning of the season. He can't sniff a minute right now. That's how well the back three are playing. And Michael Boxall is MVP caliber season for a center back position. So Kip Keller had to get healthy. He did that. Now he needs minutes. That's all this move is about. But it's going to help New Mexico United, who have been leaky. And with everything that's gone on in the movement on the back line, I think this will help close down space. And he's got good decision making, and he's incredible in the air.
And then Amir Daly is moving to Birmingham on loan from FC Cincinnati. Primarily played with the second team. Injured in CONCACAF Champions Cup against Motagua. Missed months with a broken collarbone. Is that an immediate help?
To me, it is. His understanding of the different systems that Briggs has worked through. He's found some favorite in one, but he likes to invert. He plays wide outside. He's a little bit smaller in stature, but really physically demanding, incredible speed. And I think his understanding of players and how to play off of them centrally. I'm not asking him to move in, but the way to utilize midfielders and pocket players, that's something that I was very impressed with at Duke. And I think he's done a really good job of continue to cultivate under his time at Tyrone Marshall and FC Cincinnati too.
All right. Now, Devin, we had planned on speaking more at length about Sacramento breaking ground on their stadium at the rail yards, about the expansion that's been announced for Highmark and the money that's been allocated to it to turn that into a 15,000-seat venue with an awning. And, it's incredible. However, John Morrissey of USL Tactics, John Morrissey is USL Tactics. He's the Twitter account. He's not the only tactician in USL. Announced from sources that Ryan Martin has been told he is out at the end of the season. Loudoun United currently sits in fourth. If you look at his record in a vacuum, you would say should have been fired 3 years ago. If you look at the full body of work, you understand what he did with DC United as a hybrid franchise, and then it became a underfunded championship franchise, and then it went under new management, and he's kept this core together and built them into a team that is, at this point, I think we all agree, unless the wheels fall off, a la Monterey Bay's predecessor, Fresno, the tail end of their season when it got announced that they were going to fold, they're going to make the playoffs. They may even get a home game. This one's a shock on a million levels for what he deserves. What we understand about the Loudoun situation, giving reporting in The Athletic, I don't know that I'm actually all that blown away, and that's a major disappointment.
Agreed on that front. I would also say understanding that ownership and management has changed over since that article. Let's be very clear about that. Nico Eckhart has come into the front office. I'll get to that in a second. I want to start with this. I spoke to Ryan Martin about this. Nothing has been decided. He has not told that he is leaving, that he's being let go at the end of the year. It is a 50-50 situation in the sense of they haven't made a decision yet. So I'm not saying that John Morrissey's wrong at USL Tactics. I'm actually saying that I think it corroborates his story a little bit more in the sense of there's more to it behind the scenes than what Ryan and Martin is being told. He has been told they have not made a decision yet. I can guarantee you that on this Tuesday, the 26th of August. I got off the phone with him half an hour ago. Things change fast. Great. Careful what you wish for, number one, because by the time you finally opened the checkbook up and allowed Ryan to go to work a little bit here, you're finally starting to see success within the league table. I'm not knocking development. I'm just saying the vision is different now. Yes, they haven't been playing well. Yes, they just bowed out. And they were better in the game against SAC, and we'll get to it, of Jägermeister Cup. But this is not just going to be about the head coach, Mike. If you are going to do this, understand, I encourage you to do it sooner than later, Nico Eckhart, and here's why. This isn't a league anymore where you can wait till the end of the year. You can't wait till the end of the year to do something. You're building. And Ryan Martin has built something over the last 18 months that is sustainable. If you're going to make the decision to let him go, I'm not saying I agree with it. Do it now. Because if you do it now, you bring someone else in, and you better have someone lined up that is going to have a vision of how they want to continue this journey that he's put forward. And also, Mike, you're recruiting, which is the only way that you're able to sustain this. Recruiting starts early to mid-season for next season. If you wait till the end of the year and you want to bring somebody else new in, you only do a disservice to the club, because now you got a bunch of players who aren't on contracts looking around going, I don't know what the future looks like, and they're going to jump ship. You're recruiting of players that you want to bring in. You're not going to have the ability to do that because everybody's going to be signed. So at the end of the day, whether you agree with the Ryan Martin decision or not, you have to make a decision now. Because if you wait, you are only getting yourself further into hot water.
All right.
I would say the most important thing out of all of this is that, speaking to Ryan, all he cares about right now is the game on the weekend. He goes, you know what, man? I can't control any of that. I've been told it's 50-50. It'll play itself out. All I can do is go get a result on the weekend. And against a Miami FC team that's got 1 win and 11, Ryan Martin has a good opportunity here, and he is just focused on getting the group to the playoffs. That's all I can do, and I believe he'll do it.
All right, on the other side of the break, Atlético Dallas is set to join the championship, and Matt Valentine is the chairman and founder of the club. You want to hear what they're working on. He sits down with Devin on the other side of the break.
Let's get back to USL All Access on Sirius XM FC with Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
Welcome back, everybody. USL All Access on this beautiful Tuesday evening. I'm going to jump right into it here because we said that we had someone on the up and up, something on the up and up. We've talked about it multiple times on the show. We alluded to it in segment 1. We have Atlético Dallas, Matt Valentine, chairman and founder, who's joining the show. And Matt, I got to read the intro because it's one of the most brilliant things I've ever read, in my opinion. Nearly 40 years ago, 2 kids met on a local soccer field, chasing dreams bigger than they could name. They didn't know it then, but that moment was the first spark of something much bigger. It then goes on to talk about lifelong friends, how you guys went from basically 2 individuals, and we'll talk about those individuals in a second, into a group with a vision, now an actual project, feet on the ground. Thank you for joining us, number 1. Can you kind of just pull back the curtain? I think the idea of owning a sports organization is a great idea. A soccer team falls right within my heart. And if you've got the checkbook, that's great. But when you have to put people together and really get something going, how does one decide, you know what, this is for me, these are the people that I want, and now let's put a plan into action?
Yeah, it happened fortuitously. Honestly, Sam and I met going to ODP tryouts in Arlington, Texas in '86. And we became really close friends, went to high school together, and we've probably talked almost weekly for about 40 years. And I had some business success early in my career, and had an opportunity to buy the Las Vegas Lights was presented to me. And so I went out there, made an offer, talked to the league about moving them to Dallas. And the league said, no way, Vegas is an important market. But if you want to start a new team, you can't. So right when they said that, I called Sam because he'd been in sports marketing. And that's something I've never done any marketing, really. I'm a finance background. So I tried to talk Sam into quitting his job and joining me. So it took me about 6 months. I did everything by myself for the first 6 months, and he eventually relented and joined on, and we've just built the team from there. But that was like late 23.
Wow, awesome. You referenced Sam, the Sam Morton, Chief Commercial Officer and co-founder. Dan McAlone involved in the conversation as a co-founder as well. Luther Ott, another one of the founding members, now holds the title of Chief Strategy Officer. To just stay big picture here for a second, you led us into the Lights, and then obviously now Atlético Dallas, based out of the Garland area. I'm actually curious, why USL? Because a lot of people see MLS, they see some of the pyramid underneath, MLS Next Pro. Nice is involved in that conversation. Could have been League One. Why was the ambition to take this project in the direction of USL in their pyramid?
Yeah, MLS's cost to enter is probably prohibitive for me. So that's the first thing. But USL has tremendous upside and growth potential, and the freedom of player transfer, player movement, all of those things speak to us. And it seems to me, I played in the USISL in 96, 97 on the Austin team. So I've had a little bit of familiarity to it. It just seems like it's a little more grassroots, community based, which is what I think's been missing in the Dallas market. And so it allows us to align kind of our big community picture with a league that shares that same vision.
Well said. I think the grassroots movement is something that is missed, not just within that market, but in a lot of markets around the country that
Absolutely.
fans within every organization are clamoring for. I'm curious that the one line, the dream about, dreaming bigger than you could dream at that point in time, was the dream between you guys, you and Sam at that point in time, was it always to own a soccer team? Was it a
You
sports
know,
franchise? What was it?
no, it was more just to try to play at higher levels, right? I mean, you're 12 years old, and I have two boys and athletes, and everyone thinks, oh, if you're into sports, oh, I'm going to play pro sports. And so I played in college. Sam played a bit in college, and dream kind of died there. Owning a pro soccer team, it was never even a thought in my mind. Even after I'd sold an energy business, it never crossed my mind. And when it was presented to him, I was like, man, I would love to do that. And so that was really it was nothing we planned. It's incredible to think we're doing this together right now.
Speaking with chairman and founder Matt Valentine of Atlético Dallas, the new team coming into the USL ecosystem, currently set to start play in 2027. Matt, I'm curious in terms of timeline and maybe some of the smaller details here, right? It's certainly there's the financial aspect. That's the biggest one of, can I do this? And do I want to do it alone? Am I going to bring people involved in this project? Regularly, we see groups that are formed. There are a wide variety of reasons for that. But to me, getting involved in the grassroots, getting the right people into the front office, it's those smaller details that tend to help steer projects in the right direction. Can you maybe timeline what has been the last 12 to 18 months and some of the impactful people that you guys have brought into the front office to make sure that that vision is not only constantly being sought after, but there's also going to be an evolution within it, and you guys are growing together?
Yeah, absolutely. In all my endeavors, I'm not an expert in anything. And all my endeavors, I've hired really, really good people who are experts in their field. Sam, from a commercial standpoint and sponsorship, I think our marketing has been on point and really, really strong. Our social media presence has been really strong, and that's really up to Sam and Andy Bromberg. And we hired Andy as CMO right off the bat. It was our first hire. We knew with 2 years until kick, we're basically a marketing organization. And so getting my CMO in place, and highly qualified, highly compensated guy, it's well worth it. And that has been really maybe the most important hire we've made, to be honest. So yeah, bringing the right people in is really important. We have a big investor group. We structured it differently. I have a lot of some fairly powerful people in the city of Dallas behind us, which has been really impactful. I mean, the elephant in the room is FC Dallas. I think we're the first expansion franchise to go up against an active MLS club. And FC Dallas is owned by the Hunts, who are like the grandfather of U.S. soccer. So, we need some powerful allies to go down that road. And the Hunts have been nothing but generous and gracious to us, but it's still there's some competition there that it's ignorant to not address it and to ignore it.
I love the area you mentioned, and fully in agreement about the marketing and branding, right? Because there's no head coach yet, and we'll get there. There's no team on the field. There are fans, but what does game day experience look like? So let's lean into the brand. Atlético Dallas's official brand reveal. I was taken back. I was emotional. I spent some time in my youth in Texas, and I just think the tie into the grassroots, let's use that buzzword again, the community, is something that really, really made me take a step back. It's narrated in Spanish. It's CC'd in English, and the title is Glory from Dust. And for people that haven't seen it yet, number one, go search the internet. It's one of the most incredible brand releases and reveals that I've ever seen in sports in any country. I love it. It tells about a grandmother's story about two beasts, a snake as long as a river, the other a wolf with a pack that swarmed like bees. And I'm not going to spoil it from everyone, but the bullet points at the bottom read as follows. The frontier still sharpens, and the beasts are still within. Return to your animal skin. This is Atlético Dallas. I've got goosebumps right now just
So
reading
do
it.
I.
Honestly,
I do too.
It's unreal. The music behind it, the scenery, the black and white, little color at the end. Truly, everything is incredible. Where does this come from? Maybe some of the words. Return to your animal skin, right? The frontier. How did you guys get to this is how we want to introduce ourselves to the soccer world?
Yeah, we spent 9 months working on branding before we launched anything. So we were just USL Dallas for about 9 months. We have an incredible marketing firm, outside marketing firm, and in combination with Sam and Andy, um, it's really come to life. I'm trying to create a team in my vision, to be honest. I was really instrumental in setting the tone. I wanted something, a lot of team, and there's no right or wrong. A lot of teams maybe are a little more playful. I see this as serious, and these are a lot of USL players are younger. They're trying to make it in their careers, and it's life or death for them because it is a stepping stone. And these are usually players that things aren't handed to them. They're not walking right into an MLS club at 19 years old. These are guys that have struggled and are trying to grind through it. And so I wanted to play on that and have a serious undertone because it is life and death for them. And I'm not trying to um cheapen it. I realize it's just sport, but it's still really important. And so I wanted a serious undertone to everything we're doing. And I love the romance of the game and the beauty of it and the passion. And I can get emotional about the sport. I absolutely love it. So I wanted to kind of try to embody all of that.
You mentioned Andy Bromberg, your chief marketing officer, how he was heavily involved with the outside marketing firm. Whom do I have to thank for this wonderful kit that was kind enough to end up on my doorstep? And out of curiosity, should I be worried that my home address was that readily accessible without having a conversation with you guys?
What's so funny? I had no idea we sent one to you, but it was probably Sam and Andy.
Yeah.
And our PR, Amber Freeland's been great, head of our public relations. So
yeah, brilliant. I love everything about it. Thank you, by the way. Certainly I'll wear it with honor. Can't wait to see it in firsthand what you guys end up putting into the ground. And we'll get to some of that with the stadium and the training facility in a second here. Speaking with Matt Valentine, front office exec from Atlético Dallas. He's the chairman and founder. They are set to play in USL in 2027. I want to start right there as it pertains to set to play in USL. News came out earlier this year. The USL is going to expand its ecosystem into a promotion and relegation system. The idea initially set for 2027. That has evolved a little bit, and the possibility that it's going to be 2028. I'm not going to guess, and I'm not going to get myself into trouble into proprietary information that has or not been shared from behind the scenes. Coming in, the ambition of a championship squad? Is it the ambition of, hey, you know what? I think this could be championship and evolve into one of the USL Premier teams. That's the names that's being thrown around. What's the mindset right now within the group?
Yeah, we want to play at the highest level possible. I mean, that's was always been the case. And I did believe the USL would go to Pro Rel at some point in time. I didn't think it would happen, be announced before we started play. So that's these are positives. We kind of had a vision that within 5 years there'd be a Division I and there'd be Pro Rel, but the concept that had happened, honestly, it was Sam and I's first ever owners meeting. So it was interesting to see all of that conversation play out. So yeah, we want to play in the highest level that we possibly can.
All right, coming up in just a moment, part 2 of our interview with Matt Valentine. Devon and he, such an impressive overarching conversation about what they're working on in Dallas. I'll continue to walk the cat and be back in a moment on USL All Access.
Giving insight to all the biggest moments in Championship and League One. This is USL All Access on Sirius XM FC with Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
Welcome back, everyone. It's USL All Access on this Tuesday evening. Miss any part of the show, available on the Sirius XM app or the USL YouTube page. Here's part 2 of Devon's sit-down with Atlético Dallas chairman and owner Matt Valentine.
I want to get into a little bit more of the sporting side of things, right? I mentioned that you don't have a head coach yet. No big deal. We'll let you off on that one. But you did bring in Brian Corcoran as your sporting director. For anyone that's been involved in USL and has paid attention over the last 5 seasons, they've probably heard the last name before, Corcoran. Matt Corcoran, of course, coming up through Birmingham Legion, United States Youth National Team product, now employing his trade with BJ Callahan in Nashville. Love the progression of him as an individual. Brian Corcoran is his father. You guys have known each other for quite some time. You mentioned it. Why was he the right hire to make sure on the sporting side you guys were not just getting off the ground, but as we talk about that evolution, he's the one that keeps pushing the envelope?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So Brian and I, our kids played together at 9 years old, 8, 9 years old. So I've known him for a long time. He's very ingrained in the game, especially in Dallas. He's very connected with all the youth clubs, all the youth club directors, coaches. He's very connected in the agent world with his son. You know, all the U.S. agents and some international agencies were trying to sign Matt. So Brian has very deep connections there. He hasn't ever been a sporting director before. So I believe in giving people chances, and people that are smart and connected, I always want working with me. So we also believe that our clubs want to be focused on development of players, of course, development of coaches, and development of front office staff. So we always say if we have anyone other than Sam and I working here for more than 5 years, we failed. I mean, Dallas Cowboys need to go after our head of tickets. We want the Dallas Mavericks to go after our head of marketing. We want some of these bigger professional clubs to go after our people because we've developed them and we're giving them a platform. So we're doing the same thing with Brian.
Matt, curious, to your point right there, developing people, right? Most people, when they talk about sports, they think about, and especially in the footballing world, soccer for Americans, they think, about player development. It's actually something that I've been very intrigued with in certain teams in the Western Conference. Phoenix Rising is a great example of that, of people that have been on the photography staff, they've been in marketing, trainers that have not only left Phoenix to go to an MLS team, actually, and I'm not saying that has to be the progression, but they've pushed that ceiling, right, that we keep talking about. Guys that have ended up on the national team staff. You just mentioned it within your front office. What's the ambition on the sporting side for players? Do you guys want to come right out of the gate? Grassroots, we haven't used that word in about 10 minutes in this interview. Do you want to come right out of the gate and tackle the youth movement, or is that something that you look to develop a little bit further along the way?
That's a great question. So we've acquired the third largest youth club in Dallas. So I've got 2,500 players in my ecosystem all of a sudden. And it's an incredible platform for us from a development side, from ticket sales, from merchandise sales. And we have ambitions to FC Dallas as a gigantic, very, very successful youth club. And they've been one of the more successful youth clubs in the country. We want to compete against them. And so we have ambitions to grow our youth club quite quickly. And that's important to us, and something that we are working on putting that together, offering free soccer for a true academy. We're trying to create a kind of European structure that you don't really see in the U.S. pay-to-play model. We have big ambitions as it relates to youth.
The partnership with that club, for everybody at home, that's Renegade Soccer Club. I'm sure we're going to see great battles between the Dallas Texans. You mentioned FC Dallas and MLS, and certainly Solar is involved in that conversation as well.
We know that market very well. Brian and my sons played at Texans together under Hassan, who's a legendary youth coach. It's fantastic. And my son played at Solar under their academy team. So we know the market well. We've rebranded Renegades to Atlético Dallas Youth on July 1. So you see our kits now. We signed a front of kit deal with Messi's new drink company, Moss Plus. So we have that going for us. So we have big ambitions, and it's really important. One thing that Sam and I talk about, we have a 20-year plan, not a 5-year plan. So with that kind of long-term planning, this isn't going to happen overnight. We will slowly improve our youth system. We'll slowly improve the coaching ranks and slowly integrate the kind of professional metrics throughout the youth. But it's a long-term vision.
Matt, if the timeline holds for 2027 and you guys stay on track and that's going to be the first year, when could fans start to expect to hear some news about the team, possibly first signing for the organization? Who's going to lead them into battle on the sidelines, technically, or a head coach?
Yeah, that's a great question. We anticipate having a head coach by the end of first quarter. next year. So we hopefully that they're with us for a year prior to our first season. We're interviewing coaches right now, to be honest. So we're in the market right now looking at names. But once again, we want to be a development club. So we want a younger coach that's up and coming that can develop with us. This will not be his last stop. We hope it's his first or second or earlier stop in his career. And so that's important to us throughout the organization. So we hope to have that done, in the next 6 months probably.
Love that. Let's finish up your infrastructure so that people can become more aware of that growth that you talk about. Not a 5-year plan, 20-year plan in the next 3 years. And this was approved in June of 2025. The Dallas City Council approved you guys a 3-year lease with the Cotton Bowl. So that's where you're going to play in the first 3 years. There are ideas floating around about Garland Stadium as a name that I've heard utilized, and having your own facility itself. But outside of the game day experience, you did have a $70 million, I didn't stutter there, training complex that's going to come into play as well. And I want to read some of the tidbits here. It was voted officially on August 5th. The land lease, Halford Road, George Bush Turnpike, 22,000 square foot training facility, team offices, locker rooms, therapy centers, dining facilities. And I thought, I love the combination here of the first team, whatever your structure looks like, and the youth that you just talked about, how it includes a showcase field, natural turf, 2,000 capacity seat stadium. That gives me an idea that maybe there could be another team down the line involved in this. If not, it's still an incredible venue for youth supporters to come in and to get an opportunity to play with. Futsal fields, training fields. When you decided to tackle this training facility, how did you determine what finances were going to come from where? And how did you decide that you wanted to include this 2,000 seat stadium as well?
Yeah, it's been a long road. We've been working on this for 2 years. So we've been back and forth on a million iterations. We will train our youth academy teams will train out of this complex alongside the pro team. That's important for us to see that vision and feel like they're part of a professional club. And that's a, European kind of model where the youth are training alongside the professionals, having a show pitch, if you will, that has 1,000 to 3,000 seats is important for us. We will have some sort of reserve team. We're working on that right now, and what capacity, what league they're playing. There's a lot of options in the US, so we're working on that. There's a lot of soccer in Dallas. Dallas Cup could have games there. Big 12 women's tournament could have games there. There's a lot of ways to activate it. This is a community asset, and keep in mind. So Garland high schools should be playing at our facility there. Youth, Garland ISD. There's a lot of opportunities here. So we're really excited. It's going to be a first-class facility that not many teams in USL have anything like that. We believe it's a massive competitive edge for us, and we showed it to our potential coaches. They're all blown away because it is MLS-like. So we're really, really excited to get that project kicked off the ground. It's a lot of funding from the city. It's public finance, which is great for us. And one thing that's getting lost in the weeds, though, there's a huge commercial development that my team, along with some developers, are committing almost $200 million to develop multifamily units, hotel, restaurants, retail, this whole soccer-centered, walkable, urban development that's going to be transformational for Garland. So while they're spending a considerable amount of money on the complex for the public, we're really excited. We're committing a very large investment in a very large infrastructure development.
I was actually in Dallas this weekend. It's funny you talk about the growth for the MLS match, and one of the people I was speaking with works at Cemex, and he actually talked about how in the area, because of all the growth, they've got contracts 11 years out for all of these projects around residential, crazy shopping mall growth that I've seen in the past 5 years, strips, and it's awesome to see. And then it ties right into what you're talking about. Selfishly, being the lead for college soccer on ESPN, feel free to reach out to the guys at SMU. That would be another fun little cross promotion, bringing them in. College Cup, just saying,
No doubt. I mean, we think I live right by SMU, and so we're connected with Kevin Hudson, and
yep.
He actually went to high school with Dan McCallum, one of my founding
Wow.
partners. He's a St. Louis guy. And so, yeah, Dallas has tremendous growth. There's 8 million people in the Dallas Metroplex. I don't know if people around the nation really grasp how big it is. I mean, it will be the third largest metroplex in the US here in a matter of years based on the growth we're seeing. And it's a huge soccer community. We have incredible talent comes out of Dallas. And that's important for us also. I want homegrown players. I want kids that come through our academy that maybe couldn't afford to play the traditional pay-to-play model. Lots of kids get lost in the shuffle. And I'm really excited to be able to potentially offer that path for someone that might not be able to play kind of on the suburban youth soccer clubs when we're more in the heart of Dallas.
Matt, one more on kind of big picture infrastructure stuff here. To me, I very much look at the sport in this country as opportunity. I hate the idea of segmenting it within leagues. My mind works in a different way. I view it as I want this game to be better when my son gets to high school, college, so on and so forth, and that his children can benefit as well. And if I can play 1/1,000,000th of a percentage of a positive impact on that, great. And the reason I'm bringing that up is I want to lead into the youth and the structure underneath that first team. There are organizations within this country, MLS, USL, you name it, that it's one team, it's a stadium, it's successful, and that's it. Why do you guys feel, in the best of ways, that there has to be more, that there has to be a supporting second team and the training facility? Other teams have shown that that's not necessarily a necessity for them. Why does this need to be there, and why will it work for you?
Yeah, it's not a necessity, but we want to grow the game and make it accessible and grow playable space in the city of Dallas. And most cities have a massive field shortage. We just took control of MoneyGram, which is a 19 field, beautiful complex that FC Dallas has managed for years. We take that over in January. We're about to embark on a fairly robust street soccer court development throughout Dallas with the Parks Department. We want to create brandable space. It's good for our brand, obviously, but it also grows the game. It creates access to the game. So, our hierarchy is going to have a first team. We're going to have a reserve team. Maybe they play in the UPSL. We're not sure. We're working through that right now. We're going to have a reserve team that's probably 17-year-old to 23-year-olds. We're going to have our youth pro academy, which we intend to be free. It will not be pay to play. That will take a few years to get that going, but we will create that. And maybe that's U12 to U19. And then we're going to have Atlético Dallas Youth, which is pay to play from under 5 up to the U19 level. So we feel that the Dallas market can support that. That's another thing where, in some of these smaller cities, that's harder to put that infrastructure together. In Dallas, it's really not. And so we think the opportunity is there. The opportunity in the market for a second professional franchise in Dallas is wide open. And that's what we want to do. We want to bring a community asset that's here for generations, that kids play at 5 years old. One day that 5-year-old is on a professional team. That'd be the most amazing story. It gives me goosebumps right now. And then once again, we create fans for life, right? I mean, in Europe, when you're a fan of a football club, it's probably because your grandparents were fans, and you'll always be fans. And that's what I want to create. And so, it's ambitious. I understand that, but what is the U.S. without ambition?
I love the 5-year-old stings a little bit for me. I have a 5-year-old son. I have two others that are younger, but that resonates with me, and the passion that you talk about with kind of what you follow and you always follow. I actually started following Liverpool when I was 6 years old because my brother was a Man United fan and I wanted to go on the other side of things. But I want to cap it with this. We've spoken about the financial side. We've spoken about your infrastructure, both within what it's going to look like sporting, but also within the community. Having the vision of what you want to do and the people that you're going to bring is great. But that usually has an influence based upon an environment that's pre-existing. And I'm specifically referencing some of the teams that we've had rebrands, right? FC Tulsa is involved in that conversation. Sacramento Republic, Phoenix Rising, that did such a good job back in 2017 when they changed their name. They changed basically everything. We've also had new teams come in New Mexico United, Lexington in the past 5-6 years that have done, in my opinion, an excellent job of brand management and liaising with their fans. And then there's a little bit more of the old guard, the Charleston Battery, the Louisville City. The list goes on and on. I'm curious that when you start to get involved in the ecosystem, you start, the brand has been announced. You've gotten to meet some of the ownership groups. You've probably visited and been involved on some game day experiences. Who do you feel like had an impact on you? What organizations maybe pushed you in a direction you didn't thought you needed to go, or reinforce an idea that was pre-existing?
Yeah, so I have two parts of that answer. One, every single person in my organization is coming from outside the soccer ecosystem. So we all have fresh eyes. Okay, so I think that's really important. And we ask a lot of dumb questions, and we might throw things up on the wall that we're like, that doesn't make sense. And we're outside the ecosystem. So we want to be kind of anti-establishment, if you will. But early on in the process, we met Peter and Ron at New Mexico, and we're actually going out there in a couple of weeks. They're fantastic. They've had a big influence on us. We see what they're doing on merchandise. We've made a very conscious effort to be intentional on our merchandise and try to create beautiful streetwear, if you will, not maybe traditional kind of fan wear. And, we've sold quite a bit of merchandise in our first 60 days. I think if you stacked us up along the entire league, we'd be like 15th in sales out of every single USL team, and we don't play for 2 years. We sold out every jersey inside 60 days. We clearly didn't order enough. So, New Mexico's been very instrumental and seeing how they're doing things. San Antonio was very interesting, talking with Bobby Perez about what they have done, and just kind of seeing what other teams are doing. But we are trying to carve our own path and don't want to necessarily emulate someone exactly.
Our former First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt said, and I actually have this quote in front of me. I have it in my office. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And certainly there seems to be a canvas over there that you guys are painting that is, it's not a mosaic. It's not a good from far, far from good. It seems to be hung in the Louvre immediately. I hope the success, both on and off the field, continues for you guys. I appreciate you taking the time, Matt, to join us.
Of course. Thank you so much. Enjoyed it.
There goes Matt Valentine, chairman and co-founder of Atlético Dallas. Big things going on out there in Garland. Can't wait to see them hit the ground officially in the field of play. Rumor is 2027. Let's keep our fingers crossed that they hit that timeline. And if not, 2028, I'm good with it. Again, everything around this club has been spectacular. Stick around. We've got more recaps. We've got more information. And Mike Watts joins us after walking the cat.
You're listening to USL All Access on Sirius XM FC. Here are your hosts, Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
Welcome back, everyone. It's USL All Access on this Tuesday evening. If you want to know more about the games that happened this week, like that one dude who ended up in both our Twitter feeds, I suggest you watch the games. Sometimes there's other news and things to talk about. Dev, let's chat about the games with the little time we have left. Quarterfinals concluded for the Jägermeister Cup. Let's run through the results. Greenville triumph, move on. They did not get a home game, but they go away to Indy. It's an own goal in the 90th that gets Greenville on the board, and then they're perfect in spot kicks. Rhode Island defeat Birmingham 1-0 in Pawtucket. The goal there was from, came out of left field, Dwayne Atkinson. Hartford 2-0 over San Antonio means we could well get an El Clamico final. And then Sacramento impends in a scoreless game over Loudoun. Thoughts on what you saw in the quarters?
Indy Greenville, Sean McCauley and his team were terrible in the first half, made changes, were a little bit more aggressive in the second half. Sean McCauley himself said, worst performance, and I quote, of a team that's ever been picked by me. I've obviously picked the wrong team. That's my fault because I picked them, but it's unacceptable. They got to stop conceding late, man. I just don't understand, own goal or not. This team needs some character to get them over the line. I love what I saw of Mensah up top for Greenville. Chaparrera was really good in the midfield, but Indy should have closed that game out. Birmingham figure out how to cover the corner of boxes on cutbacks. I didn't get it. Also, just get rid of the ball. Transition, they struggled. Physicality struggled within the game. Rhode Island deserved it. Loudoun and sack. I don't understand what the heck the referee was doing in the 40th minute on Jared Mazzola, who just absolutely floored Kwame Amua. Should have been a red card, free kick outside of the box, sack down to 10 men. Sack did not play well. Zach Ryan and combination play within the front line were great. Couldn't finish. And give Sack credit, 3-1-3 in 1-goal matches over the last 7. Only had 4 wins in 15 prior. Hartford and San Antonio, a touch-and-go game. San Antonio didn't create enough. Hartford, shocking, better in transition. Backline set pieces. San Antonio, get rid of the ball, stop clearing it down the middle. That is exactly what happened in both of these games. All of these games, both of the goals for Hartford. And selfishly, I want another El Clamico. How'd I do?
Fantastic. If that were to happen, Rhode Island and Hartford would simply need to win at home on September 10th. That'll be the Jaeger semis. Sacramento at Rhode Island, and then Greenville at Hartford. Dev, did you learn anything from this show?
I learned that if you're going to be in the mentions, and I fully respect the support and the emotion, at least learn the right name of the competition. It's the League Cup, known as Jägermeister Cup. If you say League's Cup, especially when you comment on the day of it on a Wednesday, I assumed you were talking about a matchup between MLS and Liga MX. Love the support. Keep it coming. Keep the viewership up. Appreciate you all.
All right, and I learned the Wi-Fi is solid at Clemson. All right, for Devin, Emmett, Mike, thanks for listening this Tuesday night. We'll talk to you again next week. So long, everybody.
This is USL All Access. If you missed any portion of the program, listen back anytime on the SXM app.